Annie Proulx is primarily a short story writer, but proved herself as a novelist with The Shipping News and That Old Ace in the Hole. Recently, she has gained fame from the film adaptation Brokeback Mountain of Proulx's short story by the same name in her collection Close Range. Annie Proulx was born in Norwich, Connecticut, to English and Native American French-Canadian ancestry. She attended Colby College for a short period during the 1950s, but dropped out. In 1966, she returned to school at the University of Vermont from 1966 to 1969. In 1973, Proulx graduated from Sir George Williams University in Montreal, Quebec. Annie Proulx's first significant work was The Shipping News, for which she won the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction and the National Book Award for Fiction. While researching That Old Ace in the Hole, Annie Proulx spent time among the locals from the Texas Panhandle, studying their language, quirks, and customs in order to show an accurate portrayal of the landscape and the people.
Annie Proulx also describes the change from the Old West to a more modern West. As Bob Dollar drives through Texas, Proulx writes, "Tumbleweeds, worn small by a winter's thrashing, rolled across the road in the hundreds. Sheets of plastic, food wrappers, sacks, papers, boxes, and rags flew, catching on barbed wire fences where they flapped until a fresh gust tore them loose. The landscape churned with detritus." The tumbleweed is a stereotypical symbol of the West, but Proulx makes a point to combine this cliché with images of pollution. She shows that even though the physical structure of the land has remained the same from the Old West, the landscape has changed in recent years because of the growing human presence. Proulx also makes it a point to distinguish between the Old and New West with the characters living in Woolly Bucket. She introduces Advance Slaughter and Francis Scott Keister, two cattle ranchers who despise each other. Slaughter is a more modern cattle rancher who lives in a fancy house, artificially inseminates his cattle, and runs his ranch like a machine, while Keister's ranch is falling apart and does not use technology to raise his cattle. Proulx uses these characters to compare the modernization in the West toward the more traditional West. Although Proulx does not necessarily commit to saying that modernization is better, because she ends the anecdote by writing that the two men's ledgers balanced out to almost the same figures.
As in most Western novels, the description of the landscape plays a vital role. In That Old Ace in the Hole, this is especially true. Right from the beginning of the novel, Bob Dollar describes the landscape of the Texas Panhandle. Gradually, the ancient thrill of moving against the horizon into the great yellow distance heated him, for even fenced and cut with roads, and the overwhelming presence of grassland persisted. Through nothing of the original prairie remained. It was all flat and wide sky. These extensive descriptions of the landscape are used to help Bob Dollar and the reader capture the Western experience. In Proulx's novel, she illustrates a new West where people travel by car and have focused their attention on developing new hog farms. Thus, the cattle-driving elements of the Old West have begun to subside, yet the fundamental nature of the Old West is kept alive through the landscape. It is this wide open and desolate landscape that allows the reader to remember and envision enormous cattle drives, stagecoaches, and cowboys riding into the western horizon.